Hello everybody, I'm Coral. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here today with the books that I've bought in August. This is my August book haul. First here I have Cat Magic by Willie Strieber. This is an older horror book. This is about a young woman named Amanda, and she lives in New Jersey, and there's something about witches. It says like she's not a witch yet, so I'm assuming she becomes a witch. Don't know much more than that. Also, The Bug by Michael Talbot. This is another vintage horror book. It's got some interesting step back art. Also, I really love when I find these vintage copies that have like fancy church lady writing in them, and I just wonder if they knew what they were getting into when they bought this, and maybe they did, which is actually makes me even more happy. This is about a bog in England, in a small English village, and something about an archaeologist and like ancient evil and just kind of like your typical old horror book stuff. Okay, I've also got a couple point horror books I picked up this month. I'm not going to go through the synopsis on all of these, but the first one here is The Perfume by Carolyn B. Cooney. I also picked up Party Line by A. Bates. Also, Final Exam by A. Bates. Call Waiting by R.L. Stein. I also picked up The Yearbook by Peter Larangis. And finally, The Invitation by Diane Ho. Since we're on the topic of vintage YA horror, or thrillers I suppose, I also picked up The Face on the Milk Carton by Carolyn B. Cooney. Quite a while ago I picked up Whatever Happened to Janie, and I didn't realize that that was like part of this story. I don't know if it's like a direct sequel, it could be. I haven't read either of them. But then I figured, you know, I'd better pick up Face on the Milk Carton. So I did. Okay, I was also lucky to find a cheap copy of this Fear Street book. This is Double Date by R.L. Stein. And then I've been trying to rebuild my Goosebumps collection, so I've got a couple of those this month. First is Be Careful What You Wish For. This is issue number 12. Attack of the Mutant. This is number 25. The Headless Ghost, which is number 37. Egg Monster from Mars, which is number 42. I think this is the only one out of this group that I've read so far. I really liked the ending of this one. I don't remember much of the story. It's been a while since I read this. And then number 47, Legend of the Lost Legend, which I don't think like I even remember seeing this one anywhere when I was a kid. But there's a book, so here it is. Okay, now on to a couple things I bought at Barnes & Noble this month. First one here is Small Favors by Erin A. Craig. I've started this, I'm about 100 pages into it, and I really like it so far. This is about a young woman named Ellery, and she lives in this community. I think this would be a really great, so far, I haven't finished it, obviously, but so far I feel like this would be a really great read-alike for the movie The Village, because they're in this small community, it's surrounded by woods, and everyone's taught basically not to go into the woods. Some people do have to trek outside of the woods, so like it's not uncommon, it's just like really dangerous. So every spring or summer maybe they have a party go to get supplies, right, to bring back to their community, and on this trek to get supplies, the people on the expedition are all murdered. They think that there are these giant, like, strange wolves in the woods now, so now it's feeling particularly, like, extra dangerous to be in the woods, and there's just, it seems like there's just a really great amalgamation of things going on so far in this. Not so many that it's confusing or feels jumpy. It's like just the right amount of different, tiny little different events that are making up this story. And I really like this so far. I think that I'm really gonna like this book. I hope. it's good so far. Next, I picked up this paperback edition of The Song of Susanna by Stephen King. This is one of his Dark Tower books that I have not read yet, but I really like this, I don't know, printing. I have the other ones so far, so I saw this and I figured I'd pick it up because I don't have this one yet. I also got 12 Nights at Rotterhouse by J.W. Oker. This is about a guy. Is he anyone? Oh, he's a travel writer. Okay, so he's a travel writer, right? And he finds out about this house called the Rotter House, and he's doing this stunt where he locks himself inside for 2 weeks. Clearly they do not make it 2 weeks because this is called 12 Nights. But it seems kind of maybe something like, what's that movie? Is it Grave Encounters? Where they lock, like a filming crew locks themselves inside a house and things go terribly wrong. I like that movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, but maybe this will be like that. I'm hopeful. It seems like there might be some tension with the other person who is in there with him. His friend, who is kind of estranged now, so I'm hoping that brings some good depth to the story. I always really like it when people in a trapped location can't trust each other. All right, I was also very excited to find at Barnes & Noble Bathhouse by P.J. Vernon. This is a thriller about a man who is frequenting a gay bathhouse, and he is in a relationship, so it causes some tension when his partner finds out that he's been doing this because, and his partner finds out because he gets attacked at this bathhouse. And I don't really know much more than that. It seems like it's going to have some complicated relationship stuff in this, that is, you know, he has to deal with this, and also whatever happened that caused him to be attacked, or whoever attacked him. I don't know if like the person comes after him. I don't know. I've just heard good things about this, and it's got a great cover. Creepy. All right, moving forward, I have The Rib from Which I Remake the World by Ed Kurtz. I hear good things about Ed Kurtz's writing. I feel like I've heard that he writes, and I don't know for sure, but I've heard that he writes stuff that's almost on the cusp of being extreme horror. I have not read his work before, but I feel like I might appreciate that it's on the cusp of that and not exactly into that, because I don't really know if I like extreme horror. It tends to, I don't know, maybe I'll get some shit for this, but I think it might be too edgy for me, but I don't know really. So I'm excited to read this. This takes place during World War II. The main character is a detective, and the only other thing I know about this is that it has to do with like a carnival, like a carnival comes into town and then some murders happen or something like that. It seems really compelling. It seems like, I feel like when I look at this book, I just get this like dreary feeling, like it's just going to have a really gray atmosphere, and I do appreciate that in a book. Next, a book that I've read and that I own. This is Aberrat by Clive Barker. I have the paperback of this, but I really love the hardcovers of this and the second book. I don't know if the third one has a great hardcover with this style art, but I'm pretty sure Clive Barker did all the art. I know that he also does painting and stuff like that. So this is more of a young adult fantasy story. This follows a young girl named Candy Quackenbush, and she meets this guy who has horns on his head, right? And he takes her to this island called Aberrat, and well, it's more like a group of, it's like an archipelago, right? Because there's, sorry, I have a hair on my face. There's 12, I think there's only 12, but there's 12 different islands, and each one is like a different hour of the day. There's also this this like dark prince. His name is Christopher Carrion, and I don't really remember a whole ton of what goes on in this story. I read it when I was pregnant and I really loved it, and I'm thinking maybe the reason I don't remember it so much is because I was pregnant and sometimes your brain gets really fuzzy. But I remember just like sweating my ass off in my house, being super pregnant and loving this book and like reading it on the couch, and I'd like to read it again. Okay, the next two books are hardcover kings. I'm trying to build my hardcover collection. This is Full Dark No Stars by Stephen King. This is one of his books that is less like short stories, I think, and more like novellas. I think there's 4 stories in this. One of them being 1922, which I haven't read. The other one, A Good Marriage, which I also haven't read. I mean, I haven't read this book, so I haven't read any of the stories in it. But I am very excited to read 1922. I liked the Netflix adaptation of it. Also, kind of, I don't know, coincidentally, I picked up Song of Susanna, but in hardcover. All right, and then my birthday purchase from Folio Society came in. This is Something Wicked This Way Comes, which I've read. Folio Society sent me like a $20 off. Probably anyone who has an account with them gets that. So I figured, you know, it really just covers the shipping, but it does offset the cost a little bit. So I figured, you know, if I buy myself a birthday present from there once a year, I don't feel too guilty about it, I guess. So this is, yeah, Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. This is a great book for the fall. It's about 2 young boys who have a strange encounter at a traveling circus, and then the man who runs the circus finds out that they've seen something they shouldn't have and are coming after them. It's just a great coming of age story. It's very spooky, and is it, no, not Will, who's the other boy? Who is Jim, right? No, Will. I don't remember who's Jim and who's Will. I think it's Will that I'm talking about. His dad is just so great, and I wish he was my dad. Okay, next on my list here, can you see my candle smoke? I just blew it out. Is a nonfiction book. This is 1,000 Naked Strangers by Kevin Hazard. I don't know how I feel about this dude's last name being Hazard. I feel like it might be made up. Especially because, okay, let me just read you the first part of this synopsis. In the aftermath of 9/11, Kevin Hazard felt like something was missing from his life, that his days were too safe, too routine. He wanted to test himself and see how he might respond to pressure and danger. So he signed up for emergency medical training and became, at age 26, a newly minted EMT running calls in the worst sections of Atlanta. So I feel like this guy might not actually be named Kevin Hazard, but maybe he is. I don't know. I've heard that this is a good, interesting, entertaining assortment of tales that this dude, Kevin Hazard, has, things that he's experienced as an EMT. I really like medical nonfiction, so hopefully this is good. I don't know. I feel like now after I've read the synopsis more thoroughly that this guy might be insufferable, but I haven't read it, so I shouldn't make that judgment yet, I guess. Then I found The Cormorant by Chuck Wendig. This is part of his Miriam Black series. I've decided that if I start reading a series, I should, if I like it obviously, I should really just buy the books. I kind of don't do that. I don't know why. It's like I read a book in a series and I'm like, that was good, and now we move on. And I know if I like it, I should be buying the books instead of, because it's not like I'm not buying books, you know what I mean? Like, I buy books. I buy a lot of books. And so if it's so hard for me to read series, partly because I don't just have access to the next book sometimes, then maybe I should be also buying books in the series that I'm reading. So here it is, The Cormorant. I've really liked the Miriam Black series. Miriam Black is a woman who has this ability to see how a person dies if she touches them. and it's not something she can control. She has some issues because of this, some substance issues, which it feels like is understandable. So yeah, the first book was really good. I think the second one was even better because we've already established who Miriam Black is, who the people she knows are, and then it like can get into the really gritty, creepy crime stuff that she sees. So these are more of like thriller or like a paranormal series, but man, this series has been great so far. So I'm really excited to delve deeper into it. All right, and then as far as what I got from subscription boxes this month, I believe both of these are actually July boxes that were just shipped a little bit later. But this one is this book is 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. And this came from Fairy Loot, I believe. It's a really, I mean, I'm kind of torn because this edition of it is very beautiful, but I really, really also love the art on like the original cover. It's just so fucking beautiful. So I'm very excited to read this, but I think this is probably going to be one of those books where eventually I buy, eventually I'm ridiculous and I buy the other copy too. But this is about a young woman named Shiori, and she is a princess, I believe. She's a princess, and she has a secret, and that is that she has the ability to use some kind of magic, which is forbidden. I don't know if all magic is forbidden or if just the magic that she has access to is forbidden, but she accidentally lets some of this magic peep out, and her evil stepmother notices, and it turns out that her stepmother also has magic. I don't know if it's forbidden magic, but she kind of kicks Shiori out of the kingdom and also turns Shiori's brothers into cranes, 6 Crimson Cranes. And if Shiori says anything about this to anybody, the stepmother will kill her crane brothers. From Owl Crate this month, I also got this Poison Heart by Kaylin Bayron. This is about a young woman named Bree who also has a sort of type of magic, but hers gives her the ability to nurture and grow plants. And at some point in this story, I believe her aunt dies and leaves her house to Bree and her parents, so they end up moving in, and there's something spooky going on with the house. It seems like it'll be fun. All right, and then the last 2 books here I got from Nightworms this month. The first one was Come With Me by Ronald Malfi. I read this, I loved it, I really recommend it. I'll leave a link to the video if you care to watch my review. And then also Chasing the Boogeyman by Richard Chismar. I already did an unboxing of these and read the synopsises, so I'll also leave a link to that if you're more interested in hearing more about those. That's it though. That's it. That's all this is what I bought. I would love to hear any opinions you have on any of these, if you've read them, if you liked them, if you didn't like them. I'd just love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I will see you in another video. Goodbye!